Nikupe beatboxing. So why are you here today?
Yeah, because of democracy.
Oh, because you want to defend democracy.
Yeah.
Great. You're an artist?
No.
You aspire to be an artist. But everyone is an artist. Wewe ni a work of art. Everyone is an artist, by the way. So why are you defending democracy?
Okay, I'm defending democracy because I'm a Kenyan voter. Because yeah.
Nice. So have you ever been kwa position yenye una feel ni kama manze rights zangu hapa zimekanyagiwa?
Yeah.
And uli react aje towards hiyo?
Wezi react sana juu una ile uwezo.
Umesema uwezo ndio noma. So but when we come together tunaweza push for hiyo, si ndio? Na tupate hiyo uwezo as a people, si ndio?
Kabisa.
Mimi I do spoken word majorly on social justice, because once I was almost shot by a policeman in town. I'm from Nakuru. So at that time walikuwa wanatafuta people with baby locks, because in Nakuru we have people wenye wanaitwa confirm. So confirm guys are these people who send you text messages confirmed you have received 527, alafu msee anakucall, please revert your cash, you get. So at that point I was doing spoken word, but I was doing poetry about love, about fun stuff, but I almost died because I am a youth. And it hit me. I realized people are going through the same, and hawana wase wa kuongelea. So I started writing. So I did a piece, it's called Dear Mr. President. I did another piece, it's called Wajinga Nyinyi Part 4. I did a series of pieces on democracy, that is Truth Is, and that is what I'll perform today. So ladies and gentlemen, clap for him.
All right. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Tumpigieni makofi tafadhali. Willy Owino.
Yeah.
We want the energy this morning. Tafadhali. A round of applause to Willy Owino. Ladies and gentlemen, just to remind us that COVID is real. I can see, I know we love each other. We love, sitting next to each other, but COVID is real. I can see empty seats. I request before Willy Owino goes live.
Yeah, before I go live.
Tafadhali, wale wako kule nyuma tafadhali, I request we stand tukuje hapa mbele yani. Leo ni hapa kwa hapa.
Let me translate for you. Anasema,
yes.
Umeongea na Kizungu ama Kiswahili? Wenye wako kule
tafadhali,
nyuma wakuje mbele.
Tusongee mbele. Kuna goodies. We have gifts here and we will start from here. Kama uko nyuma huko useme baadaye kwamba umetengwa.
Tuko live.
Yes, please. Yes, please ensure you maintain social distance, adhere to the COVID protocols issued by MOH, the government of Kenya, and also the county government of Nairobi. Ama vipi?
Kabisa.
Ama vipi?
Kabisa. And we have masks out there at the reception. If you don't have one, please.
Yes. All right, this is an amazing event this year. We are doing what is called defending democracy. It's Democracy Week. Turn to your neighbor, ladies and gentlemen, turn to your neighbor. Whisper to them, it's Democracy Week. I said whisper, please. There's someone asking for a phone number. I can see you. Please just whisper, it's Democracy Week. And then tell your neighbor, I love you. Tell your neighbor, I love you. I love you so much.
You are my neighbor.
Oh, tell me I love you. Tell me I love you.
I love you too.
No, face me, man.
I love you, Songora.
You love me.
I do.
I love you too, Willy Owino. Round of applause, gentlemen. Begin my coffee, tafadhali. Starting us off this morning with fire is none other than Willy Owino.
So kabla death haijanok na struggle za life kunieka cotton, itabidi tupambane. This is where the truth lies. Around this tusidanganyane. Ignorance ni kama kutumia soprano kwa address mataiko issue based. Chuo sikuwa at my best, mode wangu hakuwa modest. Memory so clear, kiniita ng'ombe sahi natumia sanaa kujilisha, at least siko zero grace. So life ni combination ya failure na success. Vitu most zilikosa meaning, squeeze me ujiimpress, ndo ni smile ama na smile kujiimpress. Na dream haikuhitaji do kuinvest, kama ni capital nilihitaji at the beginning of the sentence. Mama, we made it. You had a dream, I was an engineer, now I can make a constructive sentence. Akanishow akili sio syllable sana, usistress, usidigress, kuwa mdiverse. Wape hata chorus wakidai verse. It's all about the standards, wakidai class, you still call the shots, hawezi divert. They accuse you of greatness, you didn't quit a battery, you're guilty as charged, hawezi divert. Now that you have wings to fly, speak plain English. You wanna cheat on success, then kiss me, I'm Irish. Nasema fly, ego fly. Hata makanjo mtaani wanajua no hawking. Hip hop kwa beat ya chakacha na mafans wanadai Oeba you're still rocking. Tuna pop out design ya popcorn, hata Vatican inajua apart from John Paul someone else is popping. Jubdia Mr. President. Waliomba kura na ukapata. Sisi tulipata rais lakini hatuna uhuru. Na tuna feel useless unless tunapiga kura ama tunaenda kulipa ushuru. Kwa nchi mwananchi analipa standing charges kwa kila kitu, ndio MP apate sitting allowance. Kwa nchi hakuna kazi, mayouth kila mahali inabidi wamejiandika kama floss in mawano. Dear Mr. President, do you know the leaders of tomorrow are dying today? Ni guts tu hakuna, but everyone has something to say. Manifesto hope hazina, wa mothers have resorted to pray. Dear Mr. President, na watoto wa CBC nani atawafunza hiyo A? Tumechoka. Even Rihanna doesn't want you to stay. The thieves are tied to the government of the day. Dear Mr. President, let's talk about morals. Tunaishi kwa nchi pia your deputy yako na mavice. So nani unaangalia more better leader than you? Na profile yako ya WhatsApp ni more useful than the current DP. So pesa ya kisima waliiba, and that's the damn truth. Sudden death is viewed kama spoiled votes, that's the sad truth. Hakuna food, shelter, ama clothing, that's the naked truth. Mayouth hawana fare kwenda job interview, politician weekly na kusumbua mafuta ya ndege, that's the plain truth. Life ain't easy, that's the hard truth. It's not about sagging drugs that create my wasted youth. Inchi mashefa hawezi afford ile food wana cook. Dom optician analipwa hawezi hata piga look. Kill sin to see God, atotoe thaita the ticket ya heaven and unliwi my mook. Itakuwaje crazy tajiri ni intellectual lakini crazy maskini kwa masikio justice ni kelele. Itakuwaje una believe in me na nikicheza kimimi unashikwa na kiwewe. Itakuwaje unaninyima opportunity ya kupata kazi lakini kwa klabu unataka nipewe. Na effect ya nguvu ya thao inafika malinduru ya mnyonge iwezi fika. Ballot box na DSTV zinafika malidisha iwezi fika. Watoto wanalala njaa ulikunywa na pesa ya kula, na vizuri unajua pombe iwezi lika. Wanasiasa pia wanadanganya, si movie peke yake ni kutriki. Siku hizi ukisaidia rafiki yako pesa yako, unapoteza rafiki yako na pesa yako. Wonder why you got broken na ile hoteli unaenda ukiwa peke yako, ukiwa na manzi yako, wewe huwezi jipeleka. Unatafuta wapi mapenzi na wewe mwenyewe ulishindwa kujipenda? Jesus alibetraywa na kiss. Nyinyi mko hapa mnajichocha juu mlipewa hug. Wajinga nyinyi.
All right. A round of applause, gentlemen. Willy Oeba.
Yes.
Always smart and on point.
Thank you.
Willy.
Yes.
Just a couple of questions.
Yeah.
When did you start all this, man?
So, spoken word poetry or defending democracy? Activism.
Yes.
So I started activism on the 21st of January 2017. That was my mom's birthday. I was going into town kuchukua keki nimpeleke. So I looked like someone wa confirm, and police wakaona umse anakamkora. So they took me, wakanipeleka kwa kona fulani, wakaniwekea bunduki, wanaangalia picha fulani, wanasema ni yeye. You get? So I got agitated, nikagonga hiyo gani kaanguka. Luckily enough, kuna wasenyo walikuwa wanauza viatu hapo kando, karibu na wasenyo wanajua Nakuru penye inaitwa Family Health Options Kenya, Nakuru. So the guys wa viatu wakakama, wakashangaa ni nini, wamadhe wakakuja because it's at the market. And I realized, so I had Boni's number.
Okay.
So I knew Boni anaongeleaga watu, you get? So I texted Boni, nikamtumia video, but he saw it way later. I was really traumatized. And they say, when someone puts a gun on your head, if they don't kill you at that moment, then you live as a man who has nothing to lose. So from that point, I started talking about social justice because I was writing poems about love, good stories. They are good, but I realized there's a gap. Yeah.
Yes.
And youths are dying, and people are dying. And kwa dear Mr. President, that line was very intentional because I say, do you know the leaders of tomorrow are dying today?
Yes.
Because we are the leaders of tomorrow. What is happening right now?
Willy Obare,
Yeah.
mentioning the piece, Mr. President.
Yeah.
And now that we are celebrating or marking
Yeah.
Democracy Week
Yeah.
with our hashtag defending democracy.
Yeah.
Deep down you,
Yeah.
what inspired you to write that piece, man?
I thought if I ever met the president, there are things I would want to tell him, and I didn't have the chance to meet him, so I put them down on a piece of paper. I had the booth and the microphone, and I did it.
You know, listening to that piece,
Yeah.
I was kind of shivering. You know, and I asked myself, what will happen next?
Yeah.
This question goes to you.
Yeah.
What happened after releasing the piece?
The piece was pulled down on YouTube a couple of times.
Whoa.
But you know, the truth hurts before it heals. Yeah? And on Dear Mr. President, you know, normally you would say the elections are being rigged, right, Sendio? When you want to say the elections are being rigged, you'd say that. But I employed a level of artistry that is called lyricism. So I said, in Kenya, elections huwa after 10 years. In Kenya, hakuna one-term president. So technically, elections huwa after 10 years. So I bet the guys took time, labda wanaielewa saizi, hiyo Dear Mr. President. But the point got home. It was a conversation that went on for some weeks on social media. And you know, democracy and justice is a journey. It's not a destination.
Yeah.
So as we said, the intention is to change the mind or to spark the mind that will change the world.
Okay.
So your conversation to my spark pole pole, and then we will get there.
A very tricky question for you, Willy Obare.
Yeah.
Do you believe there is democracy in this country?
Yeah, I believe there is democracy in this country. We are not where we used to be, but we have to respect them. We are not where we want to be.
Why do you say we are not where we have to be? It's like we have registered some milestones or something.
Yeah.
Just mention two.
We are not where we used to be. We are not where we want to be, but we have to respect the fact that we are not where we used to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So early in the day, back in the years, I would not have done Dear Mr. President. Na tuko na wewe hapa tunapiga story, you get?
But iliondolewa kwa YouTube. True or false? It was pulled down.
Yeah. So I believe the steps artists wamekuwa wakimake, activism, the non-governmental agencies, shout out to ForumCiv.
Yeah. Hey, a round of
applause.
Wewe, round. Piga makofi kwa ForumCiv bana.
Yeah.
Hiyo jina ikitajwa unapiga makofi.
So
yes, Obare.
There are steps, yeah? It will culminate to something even bigger. So that is why I said,
all right,
it is a journey. It's not a destination. Sindio? And we are getting there. Pole pole. You do your part. The actor pale does his part. The artist does his part. Luo boy, you get.
So for the benefit of time, Luo boy, one word for the young artist. It is inspired by you.
Great.
Yes.
So I always say, you can never have everything, nor the excuse of not having them. So do what you have, do what you want with what you have to get where you want. And you're not Deputy Jesus. You cannot save everyone. So find your niche and capitalize on it. Sindio? God bless you so much.
All right.
Mungu anasaidia.
All right. You can search for Willy Obare on YouTube. There's also another piece, Dear Deputy President. So this guy is dealing with presidents only, no ministers. Tumpigie makofi tafadhali, ladies and gentlemen. Just to acknowledge that this beautiful event today, as we are marking Democracy Week, it has been organized by very important entities or organizations led by ForumCiv. Tupigie makofi tafadhali. In partnership with Creative Spills, tupigie makofi tafadhali. We also have Siasa Place, tupigie makofi tafadhali. And not to forget Power 254. Wapigie makofi tafadhali. Na pia nyinyi pia wenyewe jipigieni makofi wa kufika. Shughuli bila wewe hakuna shughuli, si ndio? So ladies and gentlemen, I request that we all stand. Tusimame tafadhali. Wengine wamekasirika. Jamani, msiniangalie vibaya. We are celebrating and marking Democracy Week. All right? So we are officially going to sing the national anthem. DJ, do you have the national anthem? Tusimame wima tafadhali. Attention. And also if you have the East African anthem, also you can play after that. DJ. We can sing. O God of all creation, power, thank you, round of applause. Before you sit, please, tunapenda kukaa sana. As you are marking Democracy Week, we are defending democracy. There is a sign behind me here. There is a sign behind me. I want everyone, please lift up your hand. There is a sign behind me. You can see it. Please demonstrate. Yes? Make use of your fist. We want to do something very important this morning. Those joining us online from all the 47 counties, you can also join us wherever you are. We want to sing together. We want to sing together. One chorus. So I know all of you know this song because it's a famous song. Yeah? Niko njana siwezi karanga. Power. No, nimekataa bana, kuna energy. What is wrong, ladies and gentlemen? There is no energy in here. Can someone say, oh, hey! I want to feel the energy, brother. Hatuja kunywa chai, nini mbaya? I'm sweating here and you know, you understand, eh? I want to get the power. We are defending democracy. So now we're defending democracy, we must put energy. It's not a walk in the park. It's tough, especially here in Kenya. You must be tough. So we want to demonstrate. Sawa sawa. Weka mkono juu. We are going to start together. Manake nikianza mimi niko na power nyingi alafu nyinyi mnakwenda pole pole mnaharibu music. Tumeelewana? So we are going to start together. If you have soprano, do soprano. You have tenor, do tenor. You have bass, like me, you do. 3, 2, and go. Niko njana siwezi karanga. Are you ready? Again, energy. Niko njana siwezi karanga. Oh, sitasimama. Oh, sitasimama. Oh, sitasimama. Jipigieni makofi, jipigieni makofi, jipigieni makofi. Comrades power! Comrades power! Comrades power! That will be our slogan today. Don't forget, we are on Twitter, we are live on Facebook. Hashtag democracy, defending democracy. Hashtag defending democracy. You can still follow the event on the official page for the ForumCiv hub. Ladies and gentlemen, we are defending democracy. We are defending democracy. Just about now, ladies and gentlemen, I take this pleasure of welcoming another great artist. He has been one of the activists in this country, pushing for social change, social accountability, integrity, human rights through poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we bring the artists, I'll take this pleasure of welcoming a representative from the planning team, the team that has put together this amazing, beautiful event. Join me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome one Mr. Michael Owino. Mpigieni makofi tafadhali. Haitoshi. Paka afike jamani. Paka afike. All right. Michael Owino. Karibu sana. There is kipaza sauti kule pwani tunasema. Kiko hapo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Nanisikia huko nyuma? Okay. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the coordinating team that is putting together the Democracy Week. That is ForumCiv, Power 254, Creative Spills, and Siasa Place. First of all, I want to welcome each and every one of you who is here in the auditorium. Feel welcome, karibu sana. I also want to welcome those who are joining us virtually. Please feel at home as well. And I also want to thank you most sincerely for choosing to be here today. The International Day of Democracy is celebrated on the 15th of September every year globally. And it's a day that's set aside to review, or rather reflect on the status of democracy in the world. And just looking at global headlines, there are some positive stories, and there are some not so good stories on issues of democracy in the world. For us here in Kenya, this week, beginning today all the way up to Friday, this week is going to give us an opportunity to also reflect on the status of democracy in Kenya. 2 decades, or I think more than 2 decades after the repeal of the infamous Section 2A. What is the status of democracy in Kenya? What are the strides that we've made in terms of freedom, in terms of human rights, in terms of governance? What are the challenges? What has worked for us? What has not worked for us? And what can we do better? So these are some of the questions that we are going to unpack beginning today, all through up to Friday of this week. And we are going to do that through a series of events, panel discussions, conversations online, artistic performances. And we have lined up a series of events, and we're also bringing on board a rich pool of expert panelists, grassroots leaders, media personalities, and artists who are going to help us unpack this conversation. At the end of this week, it is our hope that we should be able to at least know, reflect on, at least have a bigger, a better understanding of the status of democracy in Kenya, because we are going to have a series of conversations touching on virtually all aspects of our democracy. The place of women, the place of youth, media, public institutions. So we are going to have a rich array of conversations that is going to help us unpack and reflect and get a good understanding of where we are in terms of the democratization process in this country. So once again, and all along we'll be using the hashtag defending democracy. So those of us who are the audience and those joining us online also, you can also be part of the process. You can share your comments, retweet, like, whenever there is something that you say that you agree with. Let us keep the conversation going, and hopefully at the end of the week, we hope to have had a rich experience of reflecting on the status of democracy in Kenya. So once again, on behalf of the team that is putting all these events together, I want to thank you most sincerely beginning today all through to Friday. Without further ado, I now wish to welcome Mr. Jackson Obare, the regional representative of ForumCiv, to also share his remarks with you. Asanteni sana. We look forward to a great day. As he comes, we can also let us appreciate him as he comes.
A round of applause. Tumpigie makofi tafadhali. Makofi yaendelee jamani.
Asante sana.
Keep on clapping. Keep on. Sanitizer. Sanitizer. We request to have one gentleman or lady to help us here on stage with the sanitizer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know this great leader loves music. And being a regional manager of ForumCiv, and they're heavily supporting artists, he cannot come on stage without a song. There's a request here of a song, Ametutoa Mbali. Ametutoa Mbali. DJ, do you have that song? Please confirm to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen. There's a song, I Know Who I Am, as we are defending democracy. Of course, for you to defend democracy, you must understand who you are and where you're coming from. You must understand the Constitution from Article 1, from Chapter 1 to Chapter 18. So, ladies and gentlemen, we request that we all rise again. It's a request from the ForumCiv Hub Regional Manager. We stand again for that, tusimame. We are here for an event. So DJ, utatuwekea huo muziki, I Know Who I Am, so that we can sing together. Of course, God the Lord is always there to guide us through while we are fighting for democracy in this country. Very tricky country. DJ. I Know Who I Am by Sinach. All right, just remind us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. That was the first request, right? From the top, DJ. From the top, DJ. We clap and sing and dance. Eh? From the top, DJ. Thank you so much. From the top. Defending democracy. We are defending democracy. Niongeze sauti kidogo. Yes. Some energy. We sing. Kuna wengine ni wanyonge sana, mutaonewa sana. Watumishi wako umewapa yote waombayo, ikiwa umependezwa. Uamualo hakuna wakulipinga, hakika we ni Mungu wa vyote. Kule nyuma sioni ukipiga makofi na kudansi bana. Nini mbaya? Uko na baridi? Makume atenda Jehova, hakika tumeuona. Hey! Ati nini? Mkono wako Bwana kweli, tendo yako Bwana ni makuu. Ati umetutoa mbali. Let us sing. Ushika mkono mahali uliona pekee. Ati? Aha. Aha. All right, tujipigie wako tafadhali. Round of applause for this man. Thank you DJ, thank you DJ, thank you DJ, thank you DJ. Thank you DJ, thank you DJ. Thank you DJ. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let us listen to the regional hub manager, Mr. Jackson Obare.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, seeing each and every one of us seated here this morning to celebrate the International Day of Democracy starting on 15th of September every year. But we have started a whole week-long activities. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you in a special way. To start with, our guest speaker this morning, the chief guest who is going to speak to us, though virtually, retired Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga. We are also having with us representative from the Swedish Embassy, who are our back donor supporting this program, Wajibu Wetu, and through ForumCiv. Helena, Vikström is with us this morning. And also following online is our Secretary General for ForumCiv, Stenvinkel from Stockholm. Ladies and gentlemen present here and those following us virtually, good morning. Are you happy to be here? But your voice is quite a bit low. I've been hearing from the MC of the day complaining, and I think we need to raise our voice. We have every reason to be happy, and the reason why I picked the song, that we have milestones that we have made as a democracy, as a country. We cannot compare ourselves with others, and so for that very reason, God has brought us from far, and our democracy has grown as a country, if you compare with other countries in the world. So International Day of Democracy, as we all know, takes place 15th of every year and gives us the opportunity to celebrate and appreciate our country as a democratic society. It is very easy for people to take it for granted, the freedoms that we do have. Remembering the COVID-19 when it started early last year, and as this single pandemic struck, we were also able to witness how easily our fundamental rights and freedoms that we have fought for decades could have easily been negated. You could not move around freely with the pretext of enforcing COVID-19 regulations. Young people were beaten, and at some point we had more people who actually died from police brutality because of the beatings of not adhering to COVID-19 regulations than the number of people that were dying of COVID-19 itself. So indeed, democracy ensures the smooth implementation of human rights. When we have a good and accountable democratic society, it guarantees the full implementation of human rights, fundamental rights of freedom of expression, and even voting rights. It is the biggest provider of all necessary rights to human beings. As a country, our democracy, I know, will be tested again in the next 12 months, less than 12 months as we go into the 2022 elections. And we are in this country, we know what's going on, the discussions that are going on. We hope and believe that peace and security will prevail for that process to be smooth and guarantee that our democracy has been respected, our rights of voting has been respected. Again, as we reflect on this particular day of the history of democracy around the world, we also thank those who influenced the development of our democratic government and look for opportunities to promote and protect our democracy as a country. And one of these opportunities we have is this kind of forums that we have to speak out how we can protect and promote better democratic culture. When you look at the definition of democracy, that is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Everybody knows about this. There is no world, there is no democracy, there is no country in the world that is not comprised of the people, that is not being led by the people. All this does exist in the world today. All our governments in the world have been established by people. They are run by people and are established to serve us or you, the people. The only difference is how many people's interests are represented. That is the big difference, because there is no government, as I say, that is not governed by people. But more often than not, if it's not a democracy, it's an autocratic state, it is still run by the people, but the people's interests are of very few that are represented in that kind of scenario. Today, as we celebrate here the International Day of Democracy, and the week in specific here, I want us to look back. The program that ForumCiv supports is called Wajibu Wetu, our responsibility. So, what are our responsibilities do we have in defending democracy in the era of COVID-19? And this is a personal reflection. Are you having a critical role as a citizen, state and non-state actors, in ensuring that we have good democratic culture in our country? And I want to challenge you by asking you to reflect on this. One, we need to keep demanding for inclusive governance, and this I mean we also have women, young people, people living with disabilities, minorities, and marginalized groups. Is one of the things that I must remind you that we must keep demanding for inclusive governance. You cannot request to be given. You have to demand some of these things for them to be offered. Even when they are protected in the constitutions, they never just come for free. People go to streets and they demand for them. I also ask of you, all of us, to actively participate in electing responsible leaders. Listening to one of the artists talking about we elect leaders and we keep on paying for standing fees, standing charges, so that they are able to meet the sitting allowances of our elected leaders. Can we elect? We have the responsibility and we have the power of the voting to do that. I also ask of us to actively participate in elective leadership positions, be it young people, women, and special interest groups. If we are not participating, then we will keep complaining about we are not having good representation and our voices are not heard. It is only through our active participation. Let's go for those spaces so that we are able to be on the table, not to be the menu to be eaten. We have to be on the table so that we are also ordering from that menu that is available. We also have a duty to hold our leaders, our duty bearers accountable to their manifestos or promises that they have given us in the past, and we need to challenge them. How far have you achieved what you promised to deliver to this country? I also challenge us to be responsible and objective, and this goes to our media practitioners. In this time and period of info pandemic, we also are susceptible to false information, and I ask those of us who are doing responsible reporting to ensure we have balanced reporting, which is objective and which is factual. And we're going to experience a lot of false information that is going to circulate around, and that will also cover the good information that is there. And you know how bad the news spreads, like bushfire. Finally, I also want us to build allies and coalitions of positive and progressive change. And it is by so doing that we will be able to experience a full and enjoyable democratic environment where our freedoms of expressions and speech are guaranteed. So as I conclude, I want us to do these reflections on our own freedoms and consider our country's current state of democracy. Let's take inventory of how many ways we have participated in the collective decision-making of our country and supported the ideals of accountable democracy. It's a reflection that we need to have. Are we sitting and complaining, or we are progressively in those spaces to contribute to the ideals that we are looking for a better democracy, and that is Kenya. And I want to leave you with 3 points as I finish my opening remarks. One, let's be responsible. Responsibility. So that when you finish this week, there has to be something that you have to take home with yourself. And I have to ask you to be responsible, and let us deliver our responsibilities as right holders, our citizens, and the duty bearers at the same time. And by so doing, we'll be able to promote accountable democratic culture in this country. So responsibility is one. The second one, let us promote inclusive democratic governance. And inclusivity, I mean, let's not leave anyone behind. Let's not leave anyone excluded from the process. We want to be as inclusive by having everybody on board in this democratic process. Finally, I want us to think global as we act local. Thinking global and acting local is important, because then we are not thinking locally as if that we are not surrounded by best practices that are happening globally. Let us think global and have those ideas contextualized in our local context, and by so doing, we would have done what we call cross-breeding of ideas, bringing ideas from the south, from the north, and making hybrid of them to be implemented in Kenya. And by that, we'll be able to have guaranteed freedoms, guaranteed safety of our expression of speech, and everything that we desire from a democratic state, we'll be able to enjoy it as a country in Kenya. Thank you so much as we reflect this week, having productive sessions, covering sessions of media, sessions of young people as change makers, women, public institutions in their way of defending democracy, and above all, we'll also be reflecting on issues to deal with the digital democracy that we are experiencing now because of where the world is heading. And I asante.
from the
Hi everyone, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to start. So if I can get a signal, perhaps from the technicians in the chat, yes, we can hear you. Great, perfect. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, and thank you, Jackson, for this speech you gave. It was very inspiring. And next time I will also try to start with a song, because that's, of course, very, very nice to do that. I also want to start to also thank Michael for all the preparations and everything you have been doing in the team doing this and making this event possible. So thanks a lot. And by this, I'm very honored to be here, even though digitally, to be able to say welcome to all of you to this Democracy Week of 2021. Democracy Week is a vibrant week in which lots of activities are providing opportunity to review the state of democracy in Kenya and in the region. This year's Democracy Week happens in the middle of a very challenging time, and you could also hear Jackson talk a lot about the challenges you have been facing in Kenya. It comes at a time when the world is still struggling with the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen significant social, political, and legal challenges globally, and at this time when the democracy has been in a recession for a decade already. In many countries, state security institutions have been activated and deployed to enforce strict measures combating the coronavirus pandemic. While many of these measures are necessary and effective, it is also very sadly created opportunities for authoritarianism and placed democracy under one of its biggest threats. With the shrinking democratic space as a result, the importance of fighting for democracy is more important than ever. And I do hope that all of you in the room feels that also with examples that Jackson just gave us. Democracy is as much a process as a goal. Only with the full participation of and support by the international community, national governing bodies, civil societies, and individuals can the ideal of democracy be made into a reality to be enjoyed by everyone and everywhere. This means that we all have responsibility to ensure we have a democracy that functions well. Real democracy is a two-way street built on a constant dialogue between civil society and the decision makers, and a natural environment for protection and effective realization of human rights. This dialogue must have a real influence on political decisions. And yet today, civic space is shrinking worldwide at an alarming rate. Civil society activists are finding it increasingly difficult to operate. As you heard again Jackson say about the situation in your region, but we also see it in Belarus, we see it in Cambodia, we see it in Colombia, and the list can be long and is long, too long. I'm very impressed with the planned activities for this week and the strong emphasis on women and young people, as this is something we still need to focus on. And even though one would think that we would have made better progress when we now write the year 2021. Still, women should, of course, enjoy the same rights, resources, and representation as men, and young people should, of course, be let into the democratic process. We must all together create inclusive opportunities for engagement for everyone in society. Lastly, as a start for this Democracy Week, I call on government and state actors to act upon their fundamental obligation in protecting rights and inclusiveness. Show us all by concrete actions that democracy and human rights are as important as you say in all your speeches. Show us the concrete action. With this, I wish you all a great week in which you feel that you're part of taking steps forward towards being a very important part of safeguarding democracy. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the luck this week.
So much. And before, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Before you leave us, I have probably 2 questions for you. ForumCiv has been supporting democracy work, and we have been registering milestones year after year. Now, my question to you is, from your own perspective, what do you believe we should do more as activists in the House to ensure that we achieved the desired democracy in this country?
I think all of us. Oh, sorry.
Should I give both of them, or you just answer one, then we continue?
Oh, I take one at a time. You know, my memory is not very long at time from time, so I take one at a time. Well, I think not only in Kenya, but in all countries all over the world, and we've seen it so obvious. It's been so obvious the last months or last 1.5 years. We need to be very stubborn. We need to not lose energy. We need to still repeat the need of democracy, the need of human rights, the need for everyone to be able to have their voice heard. And also what Jackson said about leaving no one behind. And this could be quite tiresome from time to time. And I know that many of you also are facing a very difficult context. And for me, for example, in my position, it's crucial that I raise my voice when I speak to politicians, when I speak to the Minister of Development in Sweden, that I speak very clearly about the situation in the countries. And this is what I think is most needed, that we still struggle, we keep our voices very loud, and we will keep our voices heard all over. And we would talk to our neighbors, we would talk to different stakeholders, to politicians, and whoever has power and also can influence. And you remember, every individual have a very strong voice. So all of us are needed. All of us are needed to be heard. So that would be my strongest advice, and something I try to do every day as well.
Okay, now, thank you for that well-elaborated response. Now to my last question. Where is the space of women in Kenya and globally when it comes to the issue of democracy?
Sorry, I didn't really get you there. Did you say where is the space for women?
Where is the space of women?
The space should be there every day, every time, but we need to fight for that. You know, in Sweden, we have this, it's very high up on the agenda that in the government there should be 50% women, 50% men. Women should be heard equally as much as men. And we need to lead the way. We need also to be able to support all of the women all around the world in these things. So we have this female foreign policy also in Sweden. And here, this is a very good opportunity with this week for women to be heard and to also claim their rights. And we need to support. And we need to also, as the same with the first question, every day. We do not need to be tiresome in this. We need to do it every day to raise the voice about the inclusiveness and that women and young people should be heard. This is very, very important. And I will try to do my utmost in this as well with doing this. And I do hope that if you will have any results during this week, that you would sort of like to pass on to me, for me to talk about to politicians and others. Please let me know. Please send me notes for these things. And I'm sure that Jackson and the team will do that, so I also can support in the best of ways I can.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let us clap for Anna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Kenya, karibu sana, karibu sana. Thank you so much. Pigieni makofi tafadhali.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That was Anna Stenvinkel from ForumCiv. She's actually the Secretary General of ForumCiv. Ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed this morning. Just before I call upon the next speaker this morning, I'd like us to break the monotony. You know, we are marking Democracy Week. And for us to do it perfectly well, we have to have energy. I can see my brother here is sleeping. Are we singing lullaby? What is the problem? Naughty? Naughty? No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity now to bring on stage yet another very amazing, strong, consistent activist in the space. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as we welcome on stage Mufasa. Makofi hayatoshi jamani. Mufasa! This guy has been very consistent in pushing for social accountability, calling out leaders with impunity, telling them the truth. Sometimes they get annoyed, but he doesn't stop. I don't know what is in him. Oh God, forgive me. Ladies and gentlemen, Mufasa on stage.
Good morning. Niaje. Yo, niaje. What's cutting? Cutlery. I make a living out of a poem. I make bread come off a paragraph. I must be something, or part of something numeral. People like us are always numbered that way. We make good statistics for businesses, for governments, for organizations. It's a numbers game. The youth are not playing, they are paying for the game. My understanding is people who stand for the youth stand on the youth, but the youth have no stand. It's a country for haves and have-nots. People who have the notes have the node to take from the youth, then pay the youth to lie they have what they don't have. If Kirinyaga is rising, why are young people paid to tweet about it? Every morning the sun rises and no one asks us to tweet about it because we can all see it, see? Nothing's like it used to be. Radio lost the rhythm and we don't go out to get air and play. In fact, the rap game done changed, not just the beats, they lack the beat where they've got something to say. Keshaka would make us come alive, but now we're just living a beat. Well, it was still on Instagram. They were stealing our geography features, no playgrounds, just buildings. So if babies cannot be babies, then don't blame them for cussing, for hanging onto a phone instead of hanging onto a swing. If we build roads without sidewalks, then how does a country make steps if it literally doesn't care about where the people step? All these people we have, doctors, senators, governors, yet the only science we know is to dissolve after every 5 years. But when will we become a solution? People who still will need pace to run into hiding, right? Except when you're the first president or elected or appointed, you can claim you're starting something new and cause damage like never seen before. After all, isn't that how the newspapers described the boy who jumped into State House? Remember? They call him damaged, they call him disturbed, as if to call him jobless, to call him angry, to call him neglected. Youth would not make news, and newspapers need news to make news. So maybe the next time they will call him a zombie, they will call him a maniac, they will call him a walking dead. Vision 2030 is walking dead, adage, a eulogy praising the future already dead to us. I'm not saying our leaders are uncanny. I'm saying your leaders will come collect votes at your funeral. They will use a body in a coffin to resurrect their ambition. How did we get here? When we asked for a miracle, I thought we wanted the Lazarus amongst us to rise again, but here we go, Barnabas. We want the thief, we want the thief. Since 1963, politicians have been selling dead Christmas trees to Kenyans wishing for a new year. Every year, especially this year.
A round of applause, gentlemen. That was Mufasa. And I think I said before, this guy is very consistent. He tells out the truth, whether you like it or not. Mufasa, thank you for that piece. Ladies and gentlemen, now I take this honor and pleasure to welcome on stage Madam Helena Vikström from the Embassy of Sweden. Ladies and gentlemen, makofi tafadhali. They have been very consistent in supporting activism work through ForumCiv, of course, under the Wajibu Wetu program. Thank you so much, Embassy of Sweden, Madam Helena. Makofi jamani yaendelee. Keep on clapping. I know Social loves dancing, but we can do it after this. Karibu sana.
And poem you just told us. I'm very, very humbled to be here. In this room, I look around, in this room full of freedom fighters, all of you fighting for or defending democracy. It's really an honor to be here. I am Helena, and I'm here as the representative of another freedom fighter, the Swedish government. And actually, the Swedish government, I work for the embassy here in Nairobi, but the Swedish government has worked with this for quite a number of years. And we have been represented here in Kenya in cooperation with you, Kenyans, in many different aspects. And I think since the 60s, we have been here talking about democracy with you and helping you out in struggles, learning from you, having this mutual talks and dialogue. And yes, I come from a country which is very democratic. I have most of my rights, or all my rights, basically respected and adhered to, though I am a woman, and of course, I'm tramped upon also in this area, even in Sweden. But one thing that I also want to remind us all of, and this goes back to what so many people have been saying here, Jackson before and Anna, we cannot take democracy for granted. We cannot stop the fight and say, oh, we won democracy, now it's here to stay, so we can relax. We can never relax. We can never relax. We have to win democracy and defend our rights every day. And if we look at my society, where I'm coming from in Sweden, there's a discussion going on today that we have been taking our democracy for granted for quite a while. And I think people who grew up in Sweden, my age, in their 50s, a lot of us, we never saw anything different. We never experienced anything different. But there is now a discussion in Sweden of how actually easy it is to do away with several of our democratic principles in Sweden. We can actually do that in one election, with an extra election during that time. And there is criticism in Sweden now from voices talking about wanting to restrict media, wanting to restrict some of our rights. And that's my message here to all of you. We are in this together. We find different struggles every day. Some more personal, some on a different level where you, like me, might go to another country and have these discussions. But democracy must be won every day. We have to defend it, and we have to make sure it stays. I'm so honored to be part of, and Sweden is so honored to be part of the fantastic things we see through Wajibu Wetu and ForumCiv. All the artivists, all the activists, all the wonderful, smart, and brilliant things that I see and hear, the results that you're bringing, the beautiful poems, the music, the dancing. This is for that bigger quest for democracy every day that we want to be part of. We want to join you in that, and we want you to join us in that, because it's happening all over the world. We take several steps back now, and we need to remember that we're in this together, and it has to be the people that decides what our societies should look like. Thank you very much. We're in this together.
Che. Makofi tafadhali, asante sana. Makofi yaendelee jamani. Thank you. Just to remind us, gentlemen, we are marking the Democracy Week. Our hashtag today is defending democracy. Defending democracy. We are live on Facebook. Those following us will be reading your comments shortly. Those following us on live, amazing I can see people putting up comments following. There's a concern. All right, thank you. Sound imetengenezwa. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Keep on following us. Keep on following. Share the link to your friends, your family, your neighbors, because this is ideally very important, defending democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, on to our next speaker this morning, and he will be joining us virtually. We have the former Chief Justice, Republic of Kenya, Dr. Willy Mutunga. Pigia makofi tafadhali, a round of applause. The struggle is real in this country. The former Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga, will be joining us online. If he's with us.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, thank you so much. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you. We can hear you very well. So I'd like to give you an opportunity now to address these amazing people here, leaders, activists, young people. They're here. And also we have those following us online. And so it's your pleasure now. You can proceed. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I've been told that I have 5 minutes, right? Hello? How much time do I have? I was told it's 5 minutes, so I just wanted to be sure.
Yes, 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, shall I start now?
If you can put on your video.
If I put on my video,
yes.
The whole system in my apartment won't work.
Oh.
And I'm not a robot. Ask Mutemi Kiama to identify me without the camera.
Thank you, sir. Proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation. I thought I was going to speak. I should speak on a title. My title of my comments is, not yet democracy. And I borrow this from Odinga's book, Not Yet Uhuru, where in chapter 14, he discusses obstacles of Uhuru or independence. So I wanted to use Kenya's historical democratic trajectory, just as a case study, to interrogate this notion of not yet democracy. And I'll link it up, or I'll continue from where Helena left, because she had a very good contribution on the global solidarities in terms of having a planet that is democratic. Now, in the case of Kenya, briefly, if you look at the history of it, we have to say that before the British came, we had our own democracy. People call it popular democracy. They call it village democracy. They call it participatory democracy. But Kenyans did have a form of governance and rights and values, and people sat in their villages to decide on issues of farming, issues of grazing, water, etc. And that is one aspect of our history that young people must read about. Because when we talk about democracy now, we're talking about liberal democracy, we're talking about the constitution. Well, there's this history which is important. And we all know how that development ended with the British colonialism, the imposition on what they called liberal democracy on us, although it was never that. What the British did was, to steal our land, to deny us rights. We were not citizens, and we resisted during that period. So democratic trajectories are always struggles, because if you are dominated, you are exploited, you're oppressed, you must resist. And in our case, that resistance has taken various forms, as you know. There have been, since Mekitilili, people organizing, to stop this domination and this theft and dictatorial practices. In the history records, the trade union movement, the women movements, parties, associations, free, education, a different education system, and even religions. There all this stuff that is out there, and they saw in the trajectory of democracy, because people are resisting because they are being told they can't practicing their traditional religions, and then stand up and and resist it. So that history of colonialism, that the Kenyans resist and we get independence, and then there's the post-colonial period, which we also history records, that there is oppression, domination, exploitation, and there is also resistance. And it continues. It continues until the 2010 Constitution, which is promulgated, 11 years ago. And when we look at that struggle itself, it was a struggle for democracy, struggle for rights, struggle for land, for resources, for security, for struggles for what we call public goods, education, water, sanitation, housing, food, the right to work. It's all, when you look at the 2010 constitutions, and I'm very happy that the judges have said this, the courts have said this. The history of it is very, 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 very important if we are going to deal with this issue of, democracy, rights, and governance. And the implementation of the Constitution has shown us that we are not yet a democracy. Okay, it's very, very clear. We can give many, 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 many examples why we are not a democracy, and why in implementing the Constitution we have seen the limitations of implementing this constitution. The fact that there are interests, there are classes that don't want us to have this constitution implemented, which in my view, if it was implemented, it has obviously very radical liberal, democratic values and rights, but it also elements of social democracy, because this talk about human rights, social justice is an ideology of social democracy. You can say that the constitution has also elements of socialist democracy. When you read the constitution and you find that the supremacy of the people, or the sovereignty of the people, is so central in that constitution. The participation of the people in all societal issues. Okay, that is an element that you find in many socialist constitutions and many of countries that talk about socialism. But as you know, we are living in a planet now that even the notion of socialism is being discussed. People are asking, was the Soviet Union socialist? Okay. Are the Nordic countries social democratic? Is China, socialist? And communism itself, because there's still the talk about communist democracy, there's still abstract, going forward. So we live in a world where these discussions are taking place. And when Helena was talking about we are in it together, and she's talking about global solidarities that have become very, very, very important, for our struggles for democracy. And those of us who have been involved in human rights will glorify the role that the Nordic countries played. Here I mean Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Holland is not in the Nordic countries, but anyway, Holland as well. And I'm leaving another one, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. Okay, they, in terms of global solidarity, they funded or they invested in our human rights movement. And without that collaboration and that global solidarity, maybe the human rights movement, even the struggle for a new constitution, a lot of those things will still be with us. So I want to finish because I know I'm just making these points so that as you discuss them, you can expand on them. It's how democratic is a planet? That's the question I want to ask first. Can the planet be said to be just when there's stark inequality in the world, when some parts of the world are, colonized, like Palestine, when even us as Kenyans, we can't say we are free of foreign domination. This foreign domination we're talking about now, we're talking about the imperialism of the West and the East. Can we say the planet is democratic when it's not peaceful? Because it's not. It's so militaristic, and we need a planet that is non-militaristic. But we say the planet is democratic when it's so racist. It's very, 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 very clear to us that it is. And that's why we have to struggle for a non-racist planet. Can we say that the planet is democratic when it's actually not non-ethnic, when it's not gender just, when the planet is not sexist, okay, it's not egalitarian. In the issue of COVID, the discussions we have is, people are talking about COVID appetite. The vaccines are there, but for profit, not for people. So you have systems in this world that put profits before people. And you cannot have talk about democracy when there is no, when you have a planet that is not equitable, is not egalitarian, and it's not ecologically safe either, and it's not prosperous. So we as we talk about democracy this week, let's bear in mind that the struggles that we are talking about are national, are regional, and they are global. And we need, in our case, in the Kenyan case, as we deal with the totally undemocratic forces that rule this country, and the desire for change, and the call to all young people to think of alternative political leadership, because what we have is a leadership, is a political leadership that cannot, is not sustainable and is not acceptable at all. So as we talk about democracy at home and abroad, I think it's the clarion call still remains not yet democracy, and that's where the struggle is going to be. We're going to take, in terms of democracy, the sites of struggle where we think there are limitations in this country. Land, it's in the news, resources in the news, the issue of debt, the issue of corruption, all those issues are part of a struggle for, a democratic Kenya. And that should also be our contribution to a democratic region, a region that we know is, full of dictators, and people are subverting democracy, rights, and justice. And I just want to finish by saying that it's very, 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 very important that we focus, when we talk about these struggles, on the youth, women, the people who we will have to rely on, to make the necessary changes. And the young people in Kenya must not follow into the footsteps of the kind of politics of division that we see every day. You get divided on ethnic grounds by the barons. What have they done for you for 58 years since independence? So it's important to imagine a new Kenya, a new democracy, a new independence in this country, and a new leadership, in this country. And if we can do that, then 2022, for me, the elections in 2022, for me, and electoral justice is, of course, important. There will be about when we start digging graves for the political leadership in this country. When we give Kenyans the imagination that Kenya can be democratic, Kenya can be a country that takes care of our resources, and we can start talking seriously about implementing the great pillars of the Constitution, which will help us build another society that is better than what we have. Because even if we implement the Constitution completely and faithfully, the issue of land will still be our problem that we'll have to deal with. The issue of how the resources are distributed will still be an issue. And that's it, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Thank you. Thank you. I've taken more than 5 minutes, but I came up with that order, so that I can talk more than 5 minutes. And so I'm glad you obeyed that order at the risk of contempt. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Willy Mutunga, the former Chief Justice, the Republic of Kenya. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Makofi tafadhali. Tuongeze makofi. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your time. Of course, your words have really ignited the fire. Sindio vijana? Comrade Power! Hapana. Comrade Power! No. Comrade Power! Comrade Power! Comrade Power! I can see future in democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, so after those amazing remarks from our leaders today, just to remind you that this amazing event was organized and is implemented through the leadership of ForumCiv in partnership with Creative Spills, Siasa Space, Power 254, and everyone in the house. Jipigieni makofi tafadhali. Just to remind us, we are live on Facebook through the official Facebook page of ForumCiv, and of course we are on Twitter, #Defending Democracy. Tafadhali chukua kinyokonyeo, simu, kama una kipakatalishi, tarakilishi, ingia kwenye mtandao pale, angalia mazungumzo yanaendelea. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are straight moving to our first panel that is going to discuss on the role of the public institutions in defending democracy. The role of public institutions in defending democracy. Kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, mwanasikiza kwa makini. Sawa sawa. Ni nini jukumu za ofisi za umma katika kulinda demokrasia katika taifa la Kenya? Nimepata? Nipigie makofi tafadhali. Asante sana. So, ladies and gentlemen, our moderator for this panel will be none other than one and only legend in the media fraternity, Mr. John Allan Namu. Mpigieni makofi tafadhali. Makofi kwa John Allan Namu, the renowned journalist, investigative journalist. John Allan Namu is going to moderate this session, and I will give him the pleasure of introducing his panel. I know hii ni kazi yake, mimi siwezi kufanya. Hii ni kazi yake nzuri, ameizoea sana huyu bwana. Kwa hiyo mimi nitajieka pembeni. Kaka, karibu. Zama siku uko sawia. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's 15 minutes to 12. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So I have the pleasure of moderating the first panel on this Democracy Week. Of course, the hashtag is Defending Democracy, as Nicholas has told us a number of times. And because we are slightly behind schedule and we'd like for everything to go on schedule from now henceforth, I'll go straight into introducing my panel. And first up, I'd like to call to the stage Mr. Robbie Chacha, Advocate of the High Court. I don't know if Robbie is in the room. Please give him a round of applause. So Robbie, you can take this seat over here on my extreme left. Secondly, a man well known on the Twitter streets as well as on the streets of Nairobi and anywhere where the cause of democracy needs to be defended and celebrated and where injustice needs to be called out. Mr. Mutemi Wakiama. Let's give him a round of applause.